Hello, it's time once again for the curriculum, a fortnightly investigation of the issues affecting education in Ghanaian basic schools, particularly in the public sector. The curriculum is a collaboration between the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, and s.t.a.r Ghana. Over the past several months, we have focused on the factors which cause great discrepancies in the performance of pupils in publicly owned basic schools and their counterparts in the private sector. Our quest for answers to these questions has taken us to 4 municipalities in the southern part of the country: Ashaiman in the Greater Accra region, Volta region, Cape Coast Central region, and Obuasi in Ashanti. All 4 towns have some similarities, yet each of them is also distinct. They are all urban centers, indicative of an increasingly urbanized nation. Ashaiman, located between Accra and Tema, is a bustling, heterogeneous and cosmopolitan community. Ho and Cape Coast are both regional capitals, while Obuasi is the gold mining capital of Ghana. Examination results from the 4 municipalities have ranged from excellent in Obuasi to abysmal in Cape Coast, with Ho and Ashaiman ranking in between. While the educational infrastructure in all 4 communities needs massive improvement, local interventions can be said to have made a difference in how pupils perform. In Ashaiman, poor security and insanitary conditions are an extra challenge. Ho highlights the paucity of facilities generally for physically challenged pupils and the relative lack of access to inclusive education in the Ghanaian system, while in Cape Coast, parental irresponsibility, pupils' higher rate of engagement in extracurricular or after-school activities, and the involvement of teachers in distance learning and sandwich education programs have all contributed to the shockingly bad performance of the municipality's pupils in the BECE. Conversely, in Obuasi, various stakeholders comprising teachers and the supervisors, political and traditional authorities, parents, the church, and the mining giant Anglo Gold Ashanti have all worked as a team to elevate the town's standing on the educational ladder. Given the varying circumstances of pupils and their learning environments, the concept of decentralized curricula has been mooted by some.
There is a group that plans the curriculum for the schools. And so all the schools in Ghana, be it private or public, have one curriculum. But when it comes to the implementation of this curriculum, for instance, in my village, if there are no teachers for some specific subject, then it is going to affect the implementation of the curriculum. And so if the same examination is set for all these schools, irrespective of where they are, irrespective of whether they have personnel to handle the various subjects, then definitely it is going to affect the result.
In the public school, you have what they call BTL, Breakthrough Literacy, BA something, and this and that. Anytime somebody comes with a new learning lesson, we discard the old system. Now they say learning through the L1. But if you look at L1 in whole town here, if you go to most of the schools, there are some children whose parents are not AVs. Even when you go to Agotime, their L1 is not AV. You go to Amajofe, their L1 is not AV. And how many teachers can you get into that area to teach them in the L1? I know that it is good to let the child know its traditional language, to be versed in it, but they don't even ask the questions for even French and mathematics in L1. The questions are written in English. The instructions for examinations are all written in English. And once we have accepted English as our lingua franca, there is nothing wrong in introducing the child to call what they think is the name right from the beginning. I had my children all in Ashanti. When I brought them down here, I left them for 2 weeks with their grandmother. When they came back, they were able to speak the Ewe. Only that they can't write it, but they are able to speak it. And so if it is that they want to achieve, I think the processes, the programs, and the projects that we are introducing into the school system should be minimized. We should be on one line and see a breakthrough, because a child starts from kindergarten. By the time it's in P3, they say change the program. Then when it's in P6, they change the program. And by the time they enter the JSS, the program is changed. If they will let a program go through from kindergarten for the basic education, one set going through, I think we will achieve something.
When we were in the middle school, we did 4 subjects: maths, English, geography, history. Later on, home science was added to it. Now look at the children, the number of subjects they have to study and what they have to do. Now if you give a P2 maths assignment to a parent who went to the old type school, will not be able to solve it. The curriculum itself too. And there are so many things brought on. Every sector would want something of theirs to be incorporated in the curriculum. So they say, oh, now you've stopped doing this, bring this into the classroom, add this to the curriculum. So every day there are changes in the curriculum. Then the teachers are not well prepared for the change. So how do they teach? And the things that the children learn are too many for them. So it's difficult sometimes even to imbibe them all.
Every private school, they want the children to perform. That time, the kind of way that they give to them, they don't look at the developmental stages of the children. Some of the work that they give them a bit above their level. So the parents actually have to come in and then help the children too. I've realized that it's starting across all preparatory schools, the university practice. I took some of their books and realized that even theirs is worse. They want the children to absorb things quickly, but at times they have to also consider the developmental stages. But it's not everything that is in the book that they have to teach the children at that stage. Children, they learn according to their developmental stages. They should have educational psychology to also come and educate them on child development and its relation with learning, so that it will help them.
Who can identify the preposition here? The preposition.
Yes.
Near. Is it correct?
Yes.
Clap for him.
In Ghana, we have a national curriculum, and this is what is increasingly being brought under scrutiny. In the view of some, although one curriculum is set for all, its implementation is affected by local differences, such as lack of teachers in specific subjects, differences in mother tongues, or a low level of competence in the English language. Today's curriculum is also broader than that of previous years, making it difficult for even some educated parents to help the children. The rate of change also risks overloading the children. Schools in rural areas generally are more poorly equipped than urban ones, while private schools tend to be much better resourced.
Now the pupils are to learn ICT. How many schools have computers? And how many computers do the schools have? If you take the rural areas, Cape Coast is not just the Cape Coast town itself. We have rural communities around. How many schools have computers? The other day I came to observe the BEC when they were writing here. When it was ICT, the pupils, I saw some leaving as early as 10 minutes, 20 minutes after, just after they had gone in, because they couldn't do it. And when I asked, they said they knew only a little bit of it. So there is no fairness, and looking at the fact that children write the same examinations everywhere, if some are not well prepared and not privileged to have certain things, we say privileged, even though it's a right, they will not be able to perform.
Let's see how to add number of columns, or how to remove columns from what we've done. We have 7 columns. So to remove a column, first you select the column. Alright, let's go to table and see. Is table, delete column, and it will take that column away.
We have a computer lab, but there's no computers in it. They told us that they will be bringing computers, but still, we have not been seeing any computers in the school. They have been putting some mat, buckets, and other things, like foods, in that room. But we don't know where the computers are. We have been waiting till now. When you have ICT, you have to sit in class, only read through our books.
And then with the help of the African Development Bank and then other NGOs, they came to the aid of the assembly by constructing the ICT center. We had issue about certain parts that were not factored into the actual project, which is protection with burglar proof of the windows, and then provision of certain amenities that were not factored into the actual project, which delayed the usage of the facility.
You go to the private school, for instance, they have computer lab, they have good libraries, they have good furniture. The environment tells you that it's serious. Alright, you compare to public schools, you don't have the same. The computer center or ICT center is an lock and key, and so that will not be a booster for any parent to spend. We need to inject some seriousness in what we do. As a country, as leaders, we need to be serious about what we do. And so private, public, the disparity should not be too much.
We are giving laptop computers. We are charging them in the pastor's house. When we bring them and they are using them and the battery runs down, we need to recharge. Meanwhile, if the students are in class before it runs down, they have to walk again down to pastor's house before they charge it. So they need to come and connect us to the national grid.
In keeping with today's technology-driven world, ICT training has become a key part of the modern curriculum. Many schools, however, lack computers, and even those which have them often have too few. And municipalities include rural communities such as Aklamakwetoi in the whole municipality, which do not even have electricity, making such lessons entirely theoretical.
System unit is a part of the computer that normally processes data, or it contains components that process data, and one of those components that process the data is the processor.
United we shall stand, divided we shall fall. Unity is strength. Aklamakwetoi school. United we shall stand, divided we shall fall. Unity is strength. Aklamakwetoi school shall grow from strength to strength.
We must get things right. Training colleges, their syllabus now needs to be restructured in a way that will really have disability right from the beginning. Because I don't know much about the syllabus today, but what I can deduce is more like not too much focus on disability. Once we as the nation is going more like inclusive education, then we must get this right from the training colleges. And the teachers that will be produced from training colleges will be able to have the necessary skills to support education of children in the classroom.
If you are a student with learning disability or with a disability, it's quite challenging. Some of them are repeated, and finally they are frustrated and then they stop coming to school. So what we would like to suggest is the way they assess these children. Not everybody has that ability, to know mathematics fully, write good English or whatever. So they should look at their situation so that when they are assessing, they should assess them based on their ability, in the school, so that can help them to also, gain something, so that at the end of the day they can have access to job and then live, independently and support themselves and then their family as well as the community. Those with learning disability, we need to develop different assessment formats for them, because if we mix them all with the so-called able children, then we are not doing good for them, because maybe they'll be good in visuals or practical things, But if you bring theoretical things for them to do, then you are not helping them. So Ghana Education Service and those concerned should look at it once again. Because if you go to some of the developed countries, you know, they are doing that. And it's helping a lot.
2 little black, ready go.
A sense of fairness requires some adjustment to curricula and exams to create a more level playing field. This is to avoid shortchanging pupils from disadvantaged backgrounds for the rest of their lives. A lack of inclusive education and poor facilities for those with physical challenges also affects pupils' performance. Training colleges or colleges of education must have syllabi which take into account disability and make inclusive education a reality. This will forestall high dropout rates of children with disability or learning challenges and equip them for adult life. However, care must be taken not to create a myriad of curricula of different standards, recognizing that pupils from throughout the country will converge in various institutions after basic school and must also provide the future manpower needs of the nation. The trick will be in having a national curriculum which is flexible enough to be tweaked to meet peculiar local situations while maintaining a certain uniformity nationwide. This has been the curriculum, brought to you by the GBC with the support of s.t.a.r Ghana.